So for me, oh, I need to, tell you the question before I tell you the answer. Wow. Hello everybody, my name is Kelsey and we're about to get very, very nerdy with the mid-year Freakout tag. I think this is the first time in my booktube history that I've actually done the mid-year Freakout tag in the middle of the year. Like, I'm pretty sure the first year I didn't do it until July, and then last year I'm pretty sure I didn't do it until August, if not later. So I'm actually doing it on time, which is a miracle in itself. But this is just the fun tag that like tons of booktubers do at this time of year. I will link all the questions down below if you would like to do this tag yourself. And the creator, who was Chammy, her video of this is no longer up, but she does still have a channel, so I will link her channel down below because she's awesome. And I really enjoy her content, so you should check her out if you want to. But I feel like this doesn't really need an introduction beyond that. So let's just get into the 15-ish questions that we have to talk about today. The first question, oh, you probably saw it there. The very first question is your favorite book that you have read so far this year. And this is looking to be my favorite of the year unless something changes in the second half, which it could, who knows. But the one that I just like is fantastic, is The Missing Manuscripts of Jane Austen by Cerie James. I just adored this one a lot. I don't know why it affected me as much as it did, but it was fantastic. I loved it. I loved getting another missing Jane Austen story that actually felt like it was a legit Jane Austen story. And I liked that this one had characters that had found the story, and you did kind of follow them a little bit, but most of this was the physical manuscript itself, which I adored. So this is for sure my favorite so far this year, and I gave it 5 stars. Obviously. So the next question is your favorite sequel that you have read so far this year, and for me, I think that has to go to Wondersmith, The Calling of Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. This one I ended up giving 4.5 stars to. I adored this book a lot, and I think this one sticks out as like my favorite sequel to me is because I enjoyed the first book, but I was pretty disappointed by it, and then when I went into the second one, it totally blew me away. I was in love with this world, I was in love with these characters, I am so like hooked on them now, and I just need to know what's going to continue. And the third one comes out this year sometime, later this year. I honestly don't remember when. I feel like it's in the fall, but I'm very excited for that one, and I can't wait for my library to eventually get a copy of that, and then I can read that one as well. But this was just great. I fell into it, and I finished this entire 500-page book in a day, which is a miracle in itself. So, it was great. I liked it a lot. So the next question is the new release you haven't read yet, but you want to. And if you know anything about me, you know that I can't make decisions. I can't even say the word decisions. So obviously I have 2 answers for this one. So there's one that's a little bit more than the other one, so we'll go with that one first. But that is A Song Below Water by Bethany C. Morrow. But this cover just like is stunning. But this one came out in June, and it sounds so amazing. So it's going to tackle, I think, police brutality and racism for sure, but it's going to do it in the under kind of like the disguise of our main character is a siren, and she's not supposed to, like, sirens are not okay in this society, but there is a murder trial around a siren, and then she accidentally releases her siren voice as well. But this concept sounds fantastic. So this is one that I like really want to get to really soon. But the other one that is I literally just got in the mail today as of filming it is My Calamity Jane by the Lady Janeys, which is Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. This is the 3rd and final in their Lady Janes series. This one I honestly don't really know a whole lot about, but I do know it takes place in like the Wild West, and I think Annie Oakley is involved in this as well. And I did research Calamity Jane a little bit, but not enough to really know a lot about this main character, which I'm actually okay with, because I love their writing so much that even though Westerns and this historical figure is not something that I know very much about, I'm still very excited to dive into this one. I'm just really excited because I love the way that these three write together in this very humorous style, and I'm ready to get swept up in this story. So, I have two answers for this question. A very thin one and a very thick one, but I'm excited for both of these. The next one is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I have so many, but I have two that stick out in my head. And the first one is 10 Things I Hate About Pinky, and that is by Sendai Menon. This follows in the same universe as When Dimple Met Rishi. There's something about Sweetie. It's in the same vein as that. And I literally know nothing about this book. I just know that it follows these characters, and it's by Sendai Menon, and I freaking love her. She's one of my, she's like an autobi author for me at this point because her books are fantastic, and I've loved the ones that I have read. And then the second one is A Rogue of One's Own by Evie Dunmore. This is a companion sequel novel to, what's the book that I read earlier? Here it is. To Bringing Down the Duke. I read this one in February and just fell in love. And this is her debut novel, and it doesn't feel like it was a debut, but she does have, like I said, a companion where it follows some of the characters in this world. And I'm excited because, like I said, I loved her writing style. And she's just a good historical fiction romance author. And I really am excited for when this one comes out. Those are the two that I am the most excited about. As of filming. That might change when I edit this, but as of filming, that's where we're at. The next question is your biggest disappointment of the year. And I actually had a couple, but I think this one is the biggest so far. And for me, that is Greek Legends and Stories by M.V. Seton Williams. This is a very good starter as far as just collecting a bunch of Greek stories together. However, the writing is very scholarly, and it's very hard to comprehend, and it's very dry. That's the word I'm looking for. It's very dry. So I wanted it to be this amazing thing, and it was, It was So, this is good, and I think I will hold on to this one because if I need to remember a story, or if I need to remember a myth in Greek mythology, I can come here and remind myself the kind of general overview of whatever story I'm talking about. I don't know, it was not that well written. And I realized that they're just compiling a bunch of myths, but it was still meh. So I wanted it to be great, and it wasn't. So this was probably my biggest disappointment. So the next one is the biggest surprise that I have read. And I've actually had a handful of these, but to me, the biggest one that I can think of right now, it also might be because I've read it recently, but that is Pride by E.B. Zaboy. This is a kind of retelling remix of Pride and Prejudice. I gave this 5 stars. I was completely blown away by this because it holds its own as a novel. You do not have to compare it to Pride and Prejudice to get the amazing experience out of this. I feel like there's a lot of really good themes in this book that Pride and Prejudice has, but when you do compare it to the original, it stands up amazingly. It does stand its own ground. It does have some of the same characters, but it modernizes it, it remixes it, it tweaks the plot a little bit, and it doesn't feel like a straight retelling of the book. It feels like it's its own story, but the characters just happen to be the same names. And I loved it. So stay tuned for my June wrap-up when I talk about this, because I have a lot of thoughts on this book, but it was fantastic. I loved it. It had an effect on me that I haven't had for a while, and I adored it. I adored this book. So if you like a good hate-to-love romance, whether you've read Pride and Prejudice or not, I still think that you would really enjoy this book. It's great. It's fantastic. I highly recommend. The next question is a favorite new author, whether that is new to you or a new debut author, and it's actually both. And for me, I'm going to be talking about Rosanne A. Browns, who wrote A Song of Wraiths and Ruin, which came out early in June. This cover is super shiny, so I apologize if you can't really see it, but it's also just gorgeous. But this is a book that I have actually finished as of filming this by 2 days. And I loved it a lot, and I think the thing that I just love about her writing is her ability to create this world. Within 2 chapters, because this is told from a dual perspective, so within 2 chapters, one from each character, I already understood the world. I was already interested in what the world looked like. I was interested in this magic system. I just wanted to know about the world. She could have had zero plot in this book, and I still would have loved and read every second of it, because every page of it, because I was just so intrigued by her world building and her magical build. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. It was fantastic. Now, the plot is great. I really enjoyed the plot as well, but the thing that stuck out to me most was her world building, and I just cannot wait for the sequel to this one, and I just cannot wait to see what other amazing things this author is going to do. The next question is your newest fictional crush. I never felt like I had crushes on characters in books. I feel like I have crushes on characters in movies and actors, but I feel like as far as books go, this question is always stretching for me. But the one that stuck out to me was Jim from Infernal Devices. He is a sweetheart, and I love him. So I've read the first one, Clockwork Angel, and I'm currently, as of filming this, reading Clockwork Prince, which I think we're going to learn a lot more about Jim in, and I am just so excited because he is precious and must be guarded forever. We must all strive to protect Jim. He's amazing. This is all. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. The next question is your newest? That's a word. Okay. Why did that sound weird to me? The next question is your newest favorite character. And this one was actually hard because I had a couple of really good ones, but I think the one for me has to be Boo from the Aru Shah series. He is the little pigeon sassy friend that is there for Aru and Minnie as they go through their world. I'm holding up the second one because that's the one that I currently have out from the library. But he is just this little sidekick type teacher bird that is going along on this adventure with our main characters. But he is sassy and he takes no crap. And he's just this little itty bitty pigeon. But he's adorable. And I love him. And he is my favorite character. I would do anything for him. Because he cares about our main characters and he shows it in bizarre ways. But he's precious. The next question is a book that made you cry. And this one I actually had like a lot of struggle picking a book for. And then I finished a book and it made me cry. And I said, oh, well, this is obviously the answer. And that is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This one hit me in all the feels. And I think, because like I had a lot of feels throughout this book. I had a lot of like teary-eyed moments. But I like bawled at the very, very end of the book after Evelyn tells her story. And if you've read it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I just like, it broke me in the best way. So this is for sure the one, at least the most recent one that has made me cry. And I think as of that I can remember, the one that I have like bawled the hardest at. On the reverse side of that, the next question is a book that made you happy. And I actually had quite a few books that made me happy, but one that I just like sticks out is I think this one, and that is Sanditon and the Watsons, which are the unfinished works by Jane Austen. I have no explanation as to why I was so excited and enthralled and happy while reading these, because they're not finished. We're never going to know the end of it. But I still had the best time reading these, and I was so there for it. So this is for sure one that made me very happy. The next question is your favorite book to film adaptation you saw this year. So I honestly don't think I've seen that many adaptations. Like the only ones I can think of are like the Persuasion adaptations that I've watched a million times. So I don't actually know, but I will talk about my most recent one, I think is the best way to go about this. And that is Artemis Fowl, which is on Disney+. I have never read the books for this, but I really liked this movie. It gave me a lot of the same vibes as like the Spiderwick Chronicles gave me. So I'm really intrigued to see. Maybe I'll pick up the series one day because I am fascinated by this world. Like I said, I can't really compare it to the book since I've never actually read the book, but the movie was really bizarre, but in like the best way, and I actually really enjoyed it. I was trying to edit while I was watching, and I just couldn't focus because I was so interested in what was happening on the screen. And there's a lot of really good names in that book, or in that movie as well, so I'm very intrigued to see if I will enjoy the books as much. So that's what I'm going to talk about. I don't know if it was my favorite, but it's my most recent. So next one is your favorite video that you have done so far this year. And you know, I've actually been really proud of quite a few of them, but I think the one that I am the most proud of, because it's ridiculous, is my TBR game. So the very first video that I did was in June, or the beginning of June, and I premiered a TBR game, and I really enjoyed that. I really loved filming it. I really loved editing it. I was really proud of how it turned out. Even though it was a very chaotic month, it actually turned out just fine. So I'm excited, and people seem to really like that video. So that makes me really excited because I want to continue doing this game. I really enjoy doing my TBR game. So that's probably the video that I'm the most proud of. The next question is the most beautiful book that you have bought this year. There is no competition. For me, that is A Song Below Water by Bethany C. Morrow. Need I rave more about how amazing this cover is? Because, like, y'all, can you see it? I don't know if you can understand the beauty that is this cover, but it is phenomenal. I showcase this book cover out. It's the only one I do that with on my shelves because it's stunning and I'm obsessed with it. So I'm really excited to read this, so that hopefully the inside will be just as fantastic as the outside. But just look at how pretty. Yeah. And the very last question is, what is a book or books that you want to read by the end of the year? I didn't pick one, I picked 3, because again, I have a problem. So the first one that I definitely want to read is Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. I've never read a book by Elizabeth Acevedo before, but I did find an audiobook on Scribd so that she reads along to her verse poetry, and I am very excited to read this one because I've heard amazing things about her, and I've seen some quotes from this book that have really just like hit me in the heart, and I'm really excited to give this one a go. So that's the first one that I want to read. The second one is more fluffy, and that is To Haven to Hoax by Martha Waters. This is a rom-com historical fiction, and I love it. I'm excited. I've had it for a few months, and I meant to read it in June and never did. So God, I hope I read this by the end of the year. And then the last book that I want to read is the 5th in the School for Good and Evil series, A Crystal of Time by Soman Chainani. This is the second to last book. The 6th one, which is the last in the series, just came out. So I need to read this one, and then maybe by the time I finish this, my library will have a copy of the 6th one. The way that he writes, I feel like the ending is going to break me and be shocking, and I'm going to need to know the end right away. So I need to read that. So these are the 3 books that I want to read by the end of the year. Ooh, they're very colorful. So that's it. That's my mid-year freak out tag on time this year. But I hope you enjoyed. Let me know down below if you've read any of the books that I haven't mentioned in this video, or maybe what your answers to some of the questions are. Your favorite and least favorite of the year. Your favorite and your disappointment. That's what I was trying to say. Your favorite and your disappointment. I would love to know that down below. That's basically all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. If you did like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you want to be part of this awesome growing family. I have all my social media down there as well if you would like to check out any of those, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.